Alright, working on this 4600 chassis and for a customer. Nice local guy. But I figured I'd do a little look at his tube here on the rejuvenator. Well, it's an old tube, you know, needs help. 4600s often do. So, got it all turned on. And I got my heater voltage set at 6.3 and my G1 set at 50. Now I'm going to turn it over to the cutoff. And if you notice, all of my wheels, all my dials are maxed out. And let's see what happens when you put it on high. Yeah, I get a little bit of action on high, but it goes back down pretty quick. So we're going to leave it on low. But as you can see, I got nothing. So if we turn it over to test, well, actually I got a little bit on green. I've let this run a little while. So I'll turn down the green here and set it at its 1 division. But the others, they're maxed out. So let's turn it over to test. And the green gun comes up. The red gun comes up just a little. And blue comes up just a little. And green comes up the most. So, tube's pretty bad. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to restore. And I'm going to leave it on clean and balance. Just going to give it a good going over here on clean and balance just to see what we get results wise. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm switching back to test. I'm going to change it over to focus. It doesn't look like it in the video very well, but you can see it blinking, and it's blinking fairly quickly, but it's kind of low, you know, kind of dim. Should be a lot brighter and a lot faster, or blinking so fast you can't hardly see it. So we'll turn it back over to rejuvenate, or clean and balance on the setting. So let's go ahead and hit the blue, and we'll do the green, we'll do the red, and we'll see what it does after just a clean and balance. So as you can see, the needle's jumping around, and it's slowly settling out. So we'll go ahead and release it. Now you got to let the tube warm back up, whatnot in between. And also we now have a GK short, which doesn't surprise me because it knocks crap off in the tube onto the other guns and shorts out different things. So now that it's come back to life, or heaters come back up, let's go ahead and do the green, and we'll let it kind of settle out. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It all depends on how bad the short is. There we go. Alright, we'll release it. Our short didn't come back, so it looks like we had a short between the green and the blue, but it didn't come back right away. Alright, now that the heaters come back, let's go ahead and do the red. And we'll watch it do its jump around thing. And it'll eventually even out, or bottom out. And it's good enough. So we'll go ahead and release it. If you hold it too long, you can burn up guns. Alright, now let's see what we get when we turn it back to test. Now when we turn it back to test, these needles potentially will peg out whatever if we did a good job and it knocked the crap off the guns. So we have to set it all the way back to cutoff in order to set the cutoffs, then back to test to get to see what we actually did. So if we turn it back to test, yep, kind of what I figured. They're going to raise up. The green is the best, of course, but the good thing about it is we actually have on the red and the blue, we actually have signs of life. So let's turn it back to set cutoff. I'm still maxed out, but I do actually have about 1 division. I'm maxed out, but I don't have 1 division. But I now have to turn the green down to my 1 division. Now let's turn it back to test and see what happens. Well, green looks good, and the blue and the red still kind of look terrible. So let's go ahead and turn it back to a restore here. And let's let the, well, let's see, actually let's turn it back to test. That's a lot better on the focus. It's a lot brighter and it's a lot faster. And it's slowly dimming out. So let's turn it back. Let's let the heater catch back up in the tube. And we'll go ahead and do clean and balance one more time on the red and the blue guns and see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, then we'll come back to rejuvenate. So, alright, the heater's back up. So, coming down. Alright. Let's let the heater catch back up. I'd show you the heater in the tube, but it's so bright in here you wouldn't really be able to see it. In some tubes you can see it better, and others you can't. Like I say, it's real bright. I can see it with the naked eye, but it's pretty dim. So, let's do the red and see what we get as far as results. Now we're going to have to do the same thing when we go back to test and cut off. So there we go, it jumped. So let's turn it back to test. Not a whole lot of change. Let's turn it back to set cutoff. Yeah, I'm still maxed out. Still got my one division and my one division. So not much has changed. So let's try one more time. Let's try on a rejuve and see what we get, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cook it too bad. It might have to just live the way it is. So let's do the blue. Yeah, it's still short in there, so alright. I'm going to let it go because I don't want to cook it too hard. Let the heater catch back up. Now let's do the red. So, and the needle's about settled out. Alright, so we'll let it drop. Alright, now I've pretty much this whole time had a heater short, and that's usually not a good thing. A lot of times it is hard to clear a heater short. So now I'm used to doing this, but if you're uncomfortable doing this, you can break the tube if you're not careful. I personally have not yet. So, but sometimes this helps the shorts, and sometimes it does not. Alright, so let's turn it back to test. And we got a better response that time. Alright, let's turn it back to cutoff here. And I still have a little bit on my blue. I'm doing my green, but nothing on my red. So, unfortunately, this tube is pretty much on its way out. Now, we can go into high drive. We'll turn it back to set cutoff. And see, now we actually have a little bit of cutoff on high drive. Now, if we turn it back and to our one division, turn it back to our one division, and turn it back to our one division. Now we'll turn it to test. And essentially the same results on high as it is on low. And our focus seems to be better this time. It is dimming out a little bit, but there again the heater drops too, so we shall see what it looks like on the tube. Can't guarantee nothing when it's cranked on, but we shall see. I've already got the chassis and everything all redone, so I haven't powered it up yet, so fingers crossed I didn't do anything wrong and it fires up, but we shall see. So stay tuned. Alright, well, I got it all hooked back up, got the chassis all fixed up, so we'll turn it on. I've been messing with it, and it comes on, and it's got an image, but this tube is pretty far gone. It is, I mean, it's there, but as far as like being able to adjust it really well, it's quite difficult. But it still works. But that's what it looks like after the rejuve. I don't know what it looked like before. I didn't power it on. I didn't test it for any reason. But this is what it looks like now. And it is playable. So, I mean, you can play your game on it. So we'll put it back in the cab and see what it looks like in the game. I tried to adjust it more white. It looks more white on the camera than it is in person. But we'll put it in the game and we'll try to adjust it to the game. That way it can be as good as it can, and then later on if he decides he wants to tube swap or whatever, then he can. So anyway, this is what it looks like after after the rejuve. So it's there, and it probably looks better. But is it good? No, the tube's on its way out, and that's just what happens. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them at the bottom of this video, or shoot me an email at thearcadebuffet@gmail.com, or visit my site, thearcadebuffet.com. Thanks, and see you soon.